Hello. So I want to paint this little gnome. I already traced it onto my fabric. I'm going to make a 14 by 16 bag out of this. And then maybe just put somebody's Christmas gift in it. And then this is the gift and the thing inside. So I am going to paint the background first. I usually start out with I like to use like a 1/2 inch brush. And I've already mixed up some of my blue with some white, so I get a lighter blue because this is the color I want to paint the background with. And I usually start with a brush, then end with a sponge or something. So what I like to do is I like to do the line and then just paint it out. Maybe take a little bit more paint, do a line there and paint it out, so that if I come back later I don't have like a definite line around my little Christmas gnome. And because nobody knows where the pattern really is, I don't mind if I go into it, brush it out a little bit. Okay, so now I'm gonna come in with my sponge. I just have a big piece of sponges that I cut up. It's not something special. It's about a little bit more than 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch. What I usually do with my sponge is I wet my sponge. So I just put it in the water and squeeze it a few times inside the water, and then I come out and I squeeze it kind of hard, like most of the water is out. And now I'm just going to go, you can either put it in a palette or just paint from, I just see I didn't mix it very well. I just want to get rid of that blue on top. There we go. Okay, put that one in the water. Oopsie. I have a kitten, so I always have to take the head off. So what I do is I just put my sponge in my paint. See, I just put it in the, like I have a little bit of paint, and I'll start away from my actual picture. Now I'm just like trying to work it in. The more water you use, the lighter your painting will be. Like over here, you can see I'm now running out of paint. So I'm just gonna go back. You can wear gloves if you don't want your fingers to be full of paint, but it does wash off your fingers, but not off your clothes because it's fabric paint. And I like to come over where I've painted before, just to smooth it out a little bit. Go up there to the edge. This also will take out all the wrinkles. And I do go over a few times. I'm sort of squeezing the sponge when I do this. Going back in, getting some more paint up there. And if you have too much paint somewhere, you can always just go over it. And over here we ran out before. Some places look darker because it's already dried. Okay, so now I'm going to paint the base of the gnome. So I am going to use red first because I want that to dry. And then I'm going to do the tree. Cleaning my brush off. I think you can paint almost the whole thing with just this brush and one old brush and a sponge. Okay, so I'm going to start with the red. I am going to start over here. I'm trying to go in there. Then I have too much paint on my brush. I'm just trying to put a little bit of red in there. It's almost like this one. I come closer to the line there. There we go. Okay, so if you want to, you can put a little bit of shadow there. So I'm just going to use my brown. I usually shake my little pot and then I paint from the lid, because some of the paint will go on the lid. And that way I don't mess it up. So you can see my brown has all kinds of colors in it. So I'm just going to put the tip of my paintbrush in the paint, just that little tip. And now I'm going to, on that edge, just go around there where I want a line there. Put in the tip again, come around there and go on the line there. I just want it to be a little darker. Maybe over here you can put a little bit of a shadow coming down and over here. You can even put it on the other side also. Just bring that line there. And then if it's too, you can always smooth it out with your, I want something darker there because I messed up when I just smooth it out with your finger. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a shadow. No need to do it. Doesn't make a big difference. I just like doing it. So while I have the brown, I'm just gonna, I always forget, so I'm just quickly gonna do the shoes, which is down here. See, I didn't even clean my brush now from the red. And that's all okay. Like his arm is still out in the middle of nothing. I have to clean the brush now because I have brown on it. So I'm just going to get a little bit of red. Looks like big muscles over here. I'm just going to try and make it a little straighter. Next thing would be the green for the tree. Just going to clean the brush off a little bit. So my green that I have already, that I use, is like a very bluish green. So I like to put a little bit of yellow with it, make it a little bit more like a grass green or a Christmas green. You should mix with a little popsicle stick and not your paintbrush. See how the green changed? So it's a little bit more. I want it a little lighter, so I'm going to use a little bit of white with it. And for now, I'm just putting the white on the side. See if that might be too light. So I'm just going to paint my whole tree. Maybe I want it a little darker. We might want to put a few shadows in here. You can always go like that part that's underneath the other part. Maybe we want that a little darker. This part here. You can also take a little bit of white just on the tip. You can put some white on every tip here. Smooth it out a little bit. So I'm like thinking, what's next? I like to put a little bit of gray down where I'm going to do the moustache and beard, because if just white is white, it doesn't show a little bit of dimension. So I am going to take my black, if I can find it. Oh my gosh, oh yeah, it is. I'm just going to grab this white that I have there. And don't do what I do. Don't go in there with your white. And I'm just going to make a little bit of gray here. You need very little. It's like mix it from scratch so you can see. I'm just taking the back of the paintbrush, and I just dipped it in there once in the black and came out. So that's my grey. I'm going to use a lot of water when I paint this. I want the water to make a mark, because I want it to be very light and just like a shadow. Make sure you get it like around the nose. You can see I'm just dipping in the water. I'm not even using the paint I mixed. So I'm cleaning my brush. I'm going to use my clean white for that. You get different kinds of brushes. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I'm just going to use the same brush. I will show you some other ways. And I'm just going to use the same brush. Sorry. And you want to just get the paint on the tip of your brush. And a little bit of the paint. And I'm just going to start at the bottom here. And I'm just going to make lines and work it up. Over here, I'm just using the tip of the brush, like this little tip here. And if you feel like you have too much paint somewhere, you can scratch some of it away with the back of a brush. I also like to use, if I can find it, you can use, this is an eyeliner brush. I think I paid $4 for 100 of them. You see how small it is compared to my dirty finger. It's a very small brush. I like to, you can use this to do your lines. You can also use this for the, it would make a thinner line, but this would take too long, so I'm not going to do it this way. But if there's like a small space where you want to go in, like in there, you can definitely fill it in with these. And less is better, because you can always come back and put a few more lines in. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my brush. I'm going to do his very bushy moustache here. Okay, so now I'm going to paint his nose with the white that I have. I need to cover this red here. Okay. So for me to make a flesh color, I usually use white and very little brown. And you have to play around with this to see what color you like. Sometimes my brown is very reddish, like this one. So my flesh color would be more pinkish. I don't want it to be too light. You can see there, it's very pinkish. So I'm going to put a tiny bit of yellow with it. If you can see, it's very pink. I'm just going to put a drop of yellow somewhere on my plate so I can go and steal it. And I'm just going to take half of a drop and put it in there. And now it's totally yellow, which I didn't want. So I just need to keep on playing with this. So now I'm going to put more white. That's far too yellow. It's almost like a butternut color. And a little bit more of my brown. And don't mix with your paintbrush like I do. There we go. I think we're back to the pink color I started out with. And I'm just going to be happy with it now. I'm just going to go around. Like I put my brush down and then I just twirl it. A little twirly twirl there. And you can also like put a little bit of brown on the tip. And now I can come around and make a little bit of a shadow out of his nose. Okay, so that's the nose for now. I'm just thinking, what else do I need to paint here? I have the beard. I have, okay, the star. I like to put yellow down because I'm going to come back and put some gold. But I like to put yellow under my gold. I'm using a little bit smaller brush. I think it's like a 1/4 inch. You only need a few drops of paint for this one. There we go, we've got the yellow. So now for the fur on the edges here and on his hat and the little pom-pom there, I am going to use a very old brush that I give to my grandchildren to paint with. It's a very hard brush, it's all messed up. The more messed up it is, the better. So don't throw those away. For that I need some clean white. But I'm going to start out with a little bit of gray. And I'm just going plump, 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 plump. And I'm like taking a little bit of gray also because I don't want it to just be white, white. Now I'm just going into the white. And I'm going over the edge a little bit. It's pulling in some of the red because the red's not totally dry, but that's okay because I like the different colors which look like the light is shining on it. I don't know what you call it. Magical bubbles around him. This is optional. You do not need to do this. So I am going to use my white first to do this. And then I'm going to use color. Because if I use color on top of the blue, the color is not totally going to show. And I'm going to use, I have this little sponge blobber thing that's round that I bought from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to wet my sponge a little bit, dry it out, put it in the white, just blob the white. And I'm just going to put blobs around. Put it down, turn it a little bit, another one, turn. So I'm making like 3 of them. One there, one here, one there. I think I need a little bit more water. I don't want them to go in a row. Now I'm going to come back with my colors, and I'm going to use, because the background is blue, it doesn't really help I use blue. I'm just going to go with yellow. Maybe yellow first. And I'm just like turning it while I'm putting it in the paint, so I'm sure the paint goes everywhere. And I'm going to make a few yellow bubbles. Okay, now I'm going to go over to my green. Now I'm not even cleaning my sponge because I don't mind if it's a little yellow green. And I'm just going to do every second one I see. And now I'm going to go for my red. Okay. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to line everything. So originally where the black lines were, I'm going to put black lines again. So you can wait until it's totally dry and you can come back with a Sharpie, but it has to be dry or Sharpie's going to stop working. Let's paint some snow before I do this. I'm going to just like get a brush. I'm just going to use this brush that I had before that I did that. So I want to make something for him to stand on. And now I'm just using very little paint and a lot of water. Little paint and a lot of water. Goes a long way, yeah. I'm going to use some gold. I have this gold glitter. And I'm just going to paint the star. It's like a transparent glue and the glitter that you can use on fabric. So I am just going to have to clean the nose. And get the glue out. And I'm just going to paint with this. Just kind of spread it everywhere. It's not very shiny when you do it, but the shine does come out later on. You want quite a thick layer of that. And then I was thinking, I'm just going to make little circles here. So it will bring these out. So I go around and then I come in and that one is messed up. Oh, and I do all the yellow ones first. Go around and come in. Did I cover all of them? Yes, I did. Like this one, there's too much paint there, so you can always go back with a brush and just spread it a little bit. Okay, what's next? The liner. So I'm going to line it. You can line it with a Sharpie. You can line it with the little liner brush. I just like to line with my brush that I painted everything with, which is a 1/2-inch angled brush. And I try and clean it up and make it as skinny as possible, like pinch it together. And I am going to get my black paint so I can actually just get it. Let me clean it up. So I'm just taking a little bit of paint on my brush, just like the edge, and I'm just gonna, before you do it, see where your line is gonna go, kind of in your mind know what you're gonna do. So I'm just going to put a line wherever the black lines were. They do not need to be exactly, they don't need to connect. You can just stop halfway and you can just front one there, something over here, there's the glove. And now I am going to go around the nose over there, just the bottom part, and then I want to do a lot on the tree. And if you're scared of doing it with a brush, use a Sharpie, but wait until it's dry. And see over here, I'm basically just putting it down, pulling it a little bit. Of the dress here. You can also put, I'm going to put a few lines up here that would make it look more like a tree stump. Around for the shoes. And then for the shoes, I want like a little bit thicker line here, so it can look like the soles. There we go. The one shoe is much bigger than the other one. We can fix that. We can just bring this line out there a little thicker. Make this one a little smaller. Okay. You can also like just put a few dots around. Over here, you definitely do not want the line. You almost want it to look like it's breaking up the line. So I'm just pushing down, getting some paint and pushing some dots in there. Or you can take something and make small little lines. We'll just use the tip of the brush when it's around like that. You can also put a few lines in here just to show which way things are going, but not too many. See, yeah, it's still very wet, so I'm picking up a lot of the okay, I'm gonna stop with that. Okay, maybe around the star. This is just basically putting it down because the star is exactly the size of the, that one might be too thick, so that's just the shadow. I think I have all of it. Make this a little longer. I'm just checking everywhere. I think that's it. So now I'm going to sign my name. So I want people to know I painted it. I hope you had fun painting this little gnome with me and seeing all the potential it had. Bye.